The battlefield was quiet now. The sound of war was gone. Only smoke, broken machines, and silence remained. The sky was dark with ash. The land was empty, burned, and lifeless. Captain Rayan walked slowly over the ashes. His boots crunched over broken metal and bones. Behind him, his squad scanned the area. They were checking for survivors, not to help, but to confirm death. Suddenly, a soldier's voice came through the radio. "Captain, we found something. Or someone." Rayan stopped. He turned toward the voice and walked quickly, lying between. To destroyed alien ships was a small figure, weak, dirty, and hurt. She looked no more than 9 or 10 years old in human terms. Her skin was light purple, almost glowing under the dust. Her long hair was silver, her body thin and shaking. It was a child, but not human. The soldiers raised their weapons. "That's a Varelian," one said. "Enemy species, could be dangerous." "Should we finish it?" another asked coldly. Rayan looked at her closely. The alien girl was breathing, but barely. She looked up at them with wide, frightened eyes. Her lips moved, but no words came out. "Only fear. She's just a kid," Rayan said. "A kid from the enemy side," the soldier replied. "They killed our people, remember?" Rayan didn't answer. He stepped forward, slowly. The girl flinched as he approached, expecting pain. But instead, Rayan knelt down and placed his hand gently on her shoulder. She stared at him in shock. No one had touched her kindly in a long time. "She's not armed, she's not a threat," Rayan said softly. "We should report it and move," the squad leader replied. "HQ won't like this." Rayan turned to his squad. His voice was calm, but firm. "I'm taking her with me." "Sir, that's against protocol." "Then file a report," Rayan said. "But I won't leave her here to die." The soldiers looked at each other, unsure. No one dared stop him. Rayan picked the girl up gently in his arms. She was light as a feather. She tried to speak, but coughed instead. Her body was cold. "What's your name?" he whispered. No answer. Just a faint blinking from her glowing eyes. Rayan carried her back to the shuttle. His squad followed, silent. Inside the ship, the medic frowned. "Captain, we can't treat alien biology. And she could be dangerous. You're risking everyone on board. She's hurt." "That's all I see," Rayan replied. The medic shook his head, but handed over a basic healing pack. Rayan placed it carefully on her wounds. The alien girl winced, but didn't fight. Later, as the shuttle lifted off, the girl opened her eyes again. She looked at Rayan sitting beside her. Slowly, she moved her hand toward him. Her fingers touched his. "Thank you," she said in broken English. Rayan smiled for the first time in days. "You're safe now." But even as the ship moved toward the human base, far away, a small device deep inside the girl's body lit up a blinking red light. A hidden tracker. Somewhere in space, far away, something had been activated, and someone or something now knew she was alive. Asterisk, the girl didn't sleep like a human. She lay still, eyes half open, glowing softly in the dark corner of the medical bay. Machines beeped around her, but her heartbeat was slow, calm to calm, almost unnatural. Captain Rayan watched from behind the glass. He hadn't left his post since they returned. Every doctor in the base had warned him, she's alien. She could be dangerous. You should hand her over to command. But Rayan didn't listen. Something in her eyes wouldn't leave his mind. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was pain. Not from her wounds, but something deeper. A kind of sadness no child should carry. The next morning, the girl woke up suddenly, gasping for air. Rayan rushed in. Her eyes widened as he entered, but when she saw his face, she relaxed again. She tried to sit, but her body was weak. Rayan helped her. "You're safe," he said gently. "You're with humans now. No one will hurt you." She looked down. Then slowly, she raised her hand and pointed to herself. "Nari," she said softly. Nari, Rayan repeated with a nod. "I'm Rayan." For the first time, she smiled, just a little. Later that day, Rayan took Nari to a secure room. A specialist, Dr. Hale, waited there with a scanning device. "We need to know what she is," Hale said. "It's not just for security, it's for her safety too," Rayan agreed. Nari sat on the scanning table quietly, still watching everyone like a scared animal in a cage. The scan began. Lights moved over her body. Strange symbols appeared on the screen. Dr. Hale frowned. "This doesn't make sense." Rayan stepped closer. "What's wrong? Her DNA is Varelian. Yes, but there's something else. There are markers I've only seen in human genetics." Rayan's eyes narrowed. "You mean she's not fully alien?" Hale finished. "She's a hybrid." The room fell silent. Nari watched them. Her lips trembled. She looked down at her hands like they didn't belong to her. "My people said I was wrong," she whispered. Rayan leaned down beside her. "What do you mean, wrong?" Nara's voice cracked. "I was born ... not like others. My blood was different. My mother said to hide it. But others found out. They called me a mistake, so they left you behind." Rayan asked. Nari nodded slowly. "They said, I bring shame." Rayan stood in silence. He had seen many things during the war. Machines, weapons, monsters. But never had he seen a child called a mistake just for being born. Something burned in his chest. Not anger, not even pity. Resolved that night, Nari sat alone in the dark again. Rayan watched her from outside the room. She stared out the window, looking at the stars. Maybe she wondered if someone out there missed her, but someone else was watching too far away, deep in space. A signal had been received. A shadowed figure looked at the red blinking light on a console. "The hybrid is alive." Another voice growled. "We failed to erase her. Send the hunters." The ship turned. Silent, deadly, they were coming. Not to rescue, but to finish the job. In the quiet of the night, Nari had a dream. But it didn't feel like a dream. She was standing in a white room. No walls, no doors, just endless light. A voice echoed all around her. Cold, familiar. "You should not exist." The voice was not angry. It was empty, like a machine. You were a test. A failure. A threat. She tried to run, but her feet didn't move. "Erase yourself." "Before we do," Nari screamed. She woke up gasping, heart pounding. Her eyes glowed brighter than usual. Full of panic, Captain Rayan rushed in, his weapon half drawn. "Nari?" "What happened?" She didn't speak. Just stared at the wall, breathing fast. "They found me," she whispered, at the same moment. Hundreds of miles above the earth, a silent ship came out of light-speed. No lights. No signal. Only shadows. Inside, black-armored soldiers checked their weapons. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with glowing red eyes. These were not rescuers. They were hunters. Trained by the Varelian Empire. Built to track and destroy mistakes. And Nari was the Empire's greatest mistake. Down on Earth, alarms suddenly rang through the human base. Unidentified ship detected. No IFF code. "No reply, sir. It's headed straight for us." Rayan's heart dropped. They're here for her. Dr. Hale looked up from his console. "You don't know that?" "Yes, I do," Rayan said firmly. They didn't come to talk. They came to finish what they started. Nari stood at the window, watching the sky turn red as the enemy ship entered atmosphere. She didn't cry. She didn't hide. She just whispered, "I always knew they'd come." Minutes later, the first blast hit the outer wall. Lights flickered. Soldiers scrambled. Sirens screamed. "We're under attack." Enemy drones swarmed the base, silent and fast. They didn't shoot randomly. They moved with purpose. They were looking for one target. Rayan pulled her into the armored corridor. "We have to go now." She ran beside him, small legs struggling to keep up. But she didn't complain. She didn't ask questions. She knew what this was. She had seen it before. Once on her own planet. In the control room, Dr. Hale watched the security feed. He saw one drone pause, scan a hallway. Then whisper something in a strange Varelian code. It didn't say "target found." It said, "delete the error." In the escape bay, Rayan strapped Nari into a small evac pod. "I'll draw them away. You launch when I give the signal." Nari grabbed his arm. "You'll die." Rayan looked at her. His voice was soft. "You weren't supposed to be here, but you are, and you matter." "Why?" she asked. "Because someone has to stand up and say, 'Enough.'" He handed her a small device. "If I don't come back, find a man named Commander Reyes. Show him this. He'll protect you." Nari looked at the device, then at Rayan. "You protect me, like my father." Rayan blinked. Just for a moment, the soldier in him faded. "Then I'll protect you like one." He hit the emergency lock and stepped out, leaving her inside the pod. Outside, fire rained down from the sky. Soldiers fell. Metal screamed. But Rayan stood tall, rifle ready. He wasn't fighting for Earth now. He was fighting for one small alien girl, who everyone had abandoned, except him. The ship was falling apart. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Flames licked the walls. The controls were dead. Alarms screamed in every language known to mankind. But Nari didn't blink. She sat still. In the escape pod, strapped in tight, eyes closed. Her fingers were wrapped tightly around the small device Rayan had given her. Outside the glass window, the stars spun like a storm. Inside her mind, a voice echoed. "You were never meant to survive." But another voice followed, warm, human. "You matter." Rayan's voice, she held on to that one. The pod hit the ground hard, somewhere deep in the forest. Far from the battlefield, for hours, there was only smoke and silence. Then, she moved. She crawled from the broken hatch, limping, bleeding, half-conscious but alive 2 days later. Commander Reyes stared at the girl sitting across from him in the underground base. She was covered in dirt bruises and cuts, but her eyes were clear. Focused. "You're the hybrid," he said quietly. Nari nodded. "Captain Rayan said you could help me." Reyes placed the small device Rayan had given her into the console. The screen lit up. A hologram of Rayan appeared. "If you're watching this, the recording began. Then I didn't make it." Nari looked away. "This girl is not a threat. She's proof. Proof that the Varelians violated galactic law. Proof that they used human DNA in secret experiments. She's not a weapon. She's the truth they want to hide." The message ended. Reyes looked at Nari. "We'll protect you now, but we need to understand you first." Hours later, she lay inside a scanning chamber. The machine buzzed softly. Lights moved over her body, reading every cell. Every strand of DNA in the control room. Scientists stared at the screen, confused, amazed, even afraid. "This can't be real," one whispered. Reyes crossed his arms. "Tell me what we're looking at." The lead scientist turned. "She's not just a mix of human and What then? She's beyond both." Like evolution jumped forward. They zoomed in on the genetic map. One section glowed red. This part here, it doesn't match any known species. It's something entirely new, not human. Alien something. More Reyes turned to the glass wall and looked at the girl resting in the chamber. She's not just proof of their crime. She's the next step, the scientist said quietly. The future? Maybe. Back in the chamber, Neri's eyes opened. She could feel it too, something changing inside her. For the first time. She could hear whispers in her mind. Not voices, but feelings. Emotions from people around her. Fear, curiosity, hope. She wasn't sure how, but she could sense them, and she didn't like it. That night, she walked quietly into Rhea's office. "You read my blood," she said. "Yes," he replied. "Did it tell you why they hate me?" Reyes nodded slowly. "You carry something they're afraid of, something they can't control." Nari clenched her fists. "I didn't ask to be this. I just wanted to belong." Reyes looked at her, really looked at her. Not as a soldier, not as a weapon, but as a child. "You still can," he said. "But we need to tell the galaxy what they did." Nari stepped forward. "Then let's do it, before they come again." And far away they were coming. A new command. Ship floated in the void. Inside it, the Varelian High Council stood around a table. "The hybrid still lives," one said. "Then we send everything we have. No survivors, no more evidence." Their cold, silver eyes glowed. Erase the truth. But this time, the truth was ready to fight back. Nari stood on the edge of the rebel base, staring at the stars. They looked peaceful, bright, silent. But she knew better now. Stars weren't silent. They whispered. They watched, and somewhere out there, they were watching her. 3 days had passed. Since the truth about her DNA was revealed. 3 days since Rayan's message had ended, and every night since then. Nari had waited for someone to tell her he was still alive, but no message came. Still. She didn't cry. She trained Commander. Reyes had made a choice, a risky one. He didn't hide her. He didn't lock her away. He trained her. "You're not a threat," he said. "But if they come again, you'll fight back." And so, every morning, Nari stood in the cold training chamber, too small for the armor. Too weak for the weapons, but still she tried. And day by day, she changed. She didn't bleed like before. She didn't get tired like before. And sometimes, when she closed her eyes, things moved. Small things at first. A floating coin, a flickering light. A ripple in the air, no one taught her. No one explained. It just happened. One night, while resting in the medbay, Nari touched a wounded soldier's hand. He had a broken leg. Groaning in pain when she touched him, he gasped, and the pain faded. The scanner blinked. Healing levels increased, but no medicine administered. Doctors stared at her. She stared back. News spread across the base. The hybrid can heal. She has telekinesis. She's not just proof, she's power. Nari hated the words. She didn't want to be power. She wanted to be real. Just a girl. But power was exactly what made her dangerous. And out in the blackness between stars, the Varelians knew that. They sent new hunters, not machines, not drones, this time. They sent assassins, living shadows. Trained to kill without sound, without mercy. Back at the base, Reyes called Nari into the command room. He had a message, scrambled, static-filled. A human scout ship had found something, a faint distress beacon, a soldier's ID, Captain Rayan, status, unknown. Nara's heart skipped. "Where?" she asked quickly. "Outer zone. Old battlefield, wrecked ships, and radiation. No one survives long out there." She didn't care. "I'm going." It's too risky, Reyes said. He came for me, she whispered. Now I go for him. Reyes stared at her. The child who had arrived, scared and broken, was now staring down war without fear. He sighed. You won't go alone. He handed her a bag, a map, and a small badge. If he's alive, bring him home. As the ship lifted off, heading for the dead zone, Nari sat in silence. The stars outside didn't look peaceful anymore. They looked like enemies, but somewhere beyond them. She hoped the man who once held her hand and said, "You matter," was still holding on, and deep inside a wrecked ship, half buried in ash and silence, a soldier opened one eye, barely breathing. Barely alive, but alive, Captain Ray. And waiting, asterisk, the storm above the dead zone never stopped. Ash fell from the sky like black snow. The wind carried whispers, not voices, but echoes of war. Burned ships, rusted weapons, and silent metal bones littered the ground. But Nari walked through it all. Alone, every step was heavy. The gravity here pulled harder, like the ground itself didn't want to let go of the dead. But she didn't stop. She followed the signal. She followed him. Inside a broken battleship, buried half in rock, Captain Rayan was dying. One arm crushed under debris, blood dry on his neck. Breathing slow, he had lost count of the days. He didn't speak anymore. Just stared at the ceiling, waiting for pain to stop, or death to arrive. But instead, a voice came. Soft, familiar. Rayan's eyes moved. Standing in the smoke was a small figure. Silver hair covered in ash, glowing eyes full of light and fire. "Nari, you came," he whispered. "You waited," she said, and then she knelt. Placed her hand on his chest, and something impossible happened. The pain faded. His chest rose stronger. His crushed bones shifted. The scanner on his wrist blinked. Healing, 76%, 82%, 100%. Hours. Later, the ship hovered quietly through a hidden route, old smuggler's path known to only a few rebels. Rayan sat beside Nari, freshly bandaged, but alive. "They trained you?" I asked. She shook her head. "No one trained me. It just woke up." What did she look out the window? Whatever they were afraid of. The ship docked inside a massive cave, a secret base carved into a hollow asteroid. This place wasn't on any map, the last safe place. A rebel sanctuary. No transmissions, no politics. Just outcasts and survivors. Inside, Rayan was greeted like a ghost come back to life. Soldiers saluted. Medics offered aid. But his eyes were only on the girl beside him. Nari walked forward, tall, despite her small frame. Eyes ahead, quiet, but unshaken. They entered the council chamber. Inside stood humans, aliens, and machines, all wearing badges of the resistance. One elder rebel stepped forward. "You are the hybrid child," Ari nodded. "You have something they fear," the elder said. "That makes you important." Nari didn't smile. "That makes me hunted." Rayan stood before them and spoke. "The girl is not a weapon. She's a living witness. Proof of Aurelian crimes." He placed a hologram recorder on the table. A playback showed Nari's DNA scan, the illegal human splice, the hidden gene, the mutations, the healing. The mind-link.silence fell in the room. "If we take her to the Galactic Council," someone whispered, "everything changes. Or everything burns," another warned. Later that night, Nari sat in the observation dome, a glass room that looked out over thousands of stars. Rion joined her, slower now, still healing. "You shouldn't have come for me," he said. She looked at him. "You did?" He smiled. "I guess we're even." She didn't smile back. "They're not done. They'll find this place too." "I know." She touched the glass. But this time, I won't run. We'll stand, Rayan said. Together. She added, but not far away. A dark ship had already found their trail. The hunters were coming again, this time with armies, and the only thing standing between them and the end of truth was one small girl, and the soldier who refused to leave. Her behind. The silence before war was always the loudest in the deep space around the hidden rebel base. Stars shimmered like glass, calm, distant, and uncaring. But every soul inside that asteroid knew what was coming. They weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to be heard. Captain Rayan stood in the command chamber, armor patched, weapon ready. Across from him, Nari stood quietly in her new rebel gear. No armor. No weapon. She was the weapon now, but she didn't feel powerful. Are you ready? Afti, Rayan asked. She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. No. She paused. Still go. Outside, the enemy fleet arrived like a swarm of shadows. Varelian warships, silent, fast, endless. Their message was clear. Surrender the hybrid, or be erased. Inside the rebel base, panic rose. Some wanted to run. Others wanted to hide her. NAAR, I stepped forward. Let me speak to them. A wave of shock filled the room. They'll kill you, someone said. They've tried before, she replied. Rayan clenched his fists. There has to be another way. Neri shook her head. No more running. It ends today. They broadcast her live across every frequency, every neutral station, every galactic. Relay, billions across the stars watched the screen showed a child. Alien skin, human eyes, a voice that didn't shake. My name is Nari, she said. I was made in secret, born in silence. Hunted all my life. She held up her hand. Small wound appeared, then closed in seconds. They say I'm a mistake, a danger, something to erase. But I'm not. She pointed to her heart. I'm living proof that we're not so different. Her voice grew stronger. I'm not a weapon. I'm a message. You can't kill. Truth forever. The Varelians didn't respond with words. They responded with fire. Missiles launched. Drones swarmed. Ships locked onto the rebel base, but they weren't ready. They weren't ready for what Nari had become as the attack began. Nari stepped into the open in front of the shield dome, and she lifted her hands. She didn't scream. She didn't chant. She just focused. The wind stilled. The ground shook, and the sky bent. The first wave of missiles slowed midair, then froze. Neri's eyes glowed brighter, hair lifting in the windless space. The missiles reversed, turning back toward the ships that fired them. Explosions painted the sky. A moment later, hundreds of Varelian drones surrounded her. She didn't run. She closed her eyes. And every drone dropped from the sky at once, dead, silent, useless. The crowd inside the base went still. For the first time, they didn't see her as a child. They saw her as hope. Captain Rayan ran to her side. She was shaking, blood on her nose, skin pale. You can't do this alone, he said. I'm not alone, she whispered. She took his hand. Then she broadcast her final message. You tried to erase me, but now everyone knows. We exist. We feel. We fight. And we remember. The Varelians didn't speak again. Their fleet pulled back. For now, but the truth had already spread across systems, across planets, across hearts. Later, on a quiet hill overlooking the rebel base, Neri sat under a real sky for the first time. Blue, calm, warm. Rayan sat beside her. What now? He asked Nayar. I smiled softly. Now we live. And if they come back? She looked at the sun. Then they'll find out. We don't run anymore. Because the galaxy had forgotten what it meant to be human, and this time it took a half-human child to remind them.